Thanks, Senator Britt. Senator Fetterman of Pennsylvania is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hi. I just like to keep everything simple here. So this is a question for really all three of you. So really, what do you think is the reason of the collapses? And why? Was it incompetency? Was it greed? Or was it virtuous risk? You guys.
I think mismanagement was the primary cause.
And incompetency? Just
yes.
Okay.
I think there was mismanagement. There were also supervisory failures that did not allow for appropriate governance to take place.
Really? So you don't believe that they were just incompetence?
No, I think that there were issues in terms of with Silicon Valley Bank where they did not have a chief risk officer for a long period of time. They had a long transition with their chief financial officer, which created management issues. But then where the supervisors were actually flagging some of these issues, they never took any follow-up action, which could have prevented the collapse from happening.
Senator, I believe that it was mismanagement, specifically that the leadership pursued a rapid, unrestrained growth without appreciating or adequately controlling the increasing risks that the banks faced.
Mismanagement, was that really clouded by greed? Or just incompetent? They're just, were they just incompetent? Like I thought these were high achieving, executives and successful banks. And were they? Do you think they could? It wasn't greed, or did they not? Did they think theoretically that they're like, we can really crash really good because they're going to come cleaning up our mess here, kind of a thing? Because that to me is. What do you think? Like, because I don't think an average human being, in our nation, wouldn't just say, hey, you know what? I'm going to run up too much debt. I'm going to come bankruptcy. I'm going to get paid it off, kind of a thing. So, do you think anything that's not part of it? This idea that we're going to clean up my mess.
Senator, I believe that mismanagement is the problem, but you're talking about the motives for mismanagement. And I think that what the Fed report suggests is that the motives were short-term gains that were tied to compensation. In fact, I think it was one of the most startling findings in the Federal Reserve's report.
Senator, first off, we look forward to the upcoming hearing that you're going to have with the CEOs of these banks to get more information to better understand that. But again, there was a failure of board oversight. There was a failure of management in making appropriate decisions. There's a failure of the supervisors to actually oversee this. And interestingly enough, we had investors such as JP Morgan Chase issuing an investor note with Silicon Valley Bank in November, yet there was no action taken by the supervisors. So I think there's a lot of blame to go around here.
Senator, I think that the incentives are twofold that leads to the mismanagement. First, there is the problem of compensation, which drives incentives towards short-term gains. Second, as the reports reveal, there is the problem of growing banks, that the management, perhaps as a matter of which could be characterized as incompetence, did not grow with the size of the banks. And that led to incompetence in the performance of their duties.
Yeah, personally, I just find it a hard time believing that they don't believe that these banks realize that someone's going to come in and comes, there to save me, and I think they figure that it's just the kind of risk is they know that because they're not going to be to be held accountable, and they're going to be made whole. And I just find that your average American would find that outrageous. So, anyway, thank you.
Thanks, Senator Fetterman. Senator.